Hey guys, welcome to this week's podcast episode for the Financial Freedom Podcast. And I'm your host, Dr. Christopher Liu. I'm always scouting the globe, looking for entrepreneurs, people on the cutting edge, making a dent in today's world. And today I'm happy to introduce Jamie Royce, and he's the founder and CEO of MindCloud. It's a company that specializes in helping small and medium-sized businesses connect software and make their most important and mission critical integrations easier. So I love technology, how to use it, how to scale, how to grow. And so today's conversations will be really interesting. So Jamie, welcome.
Great. Thank you so much for having me on your show.
Yeah, I know we had connected through Podmatch, and tell others how you got started, what you do, and what your company does.
Awesome. Yeah. So my name is Jamie Royce. I'm the CEO of MindCloud, which is it's a modern iPaaS, and iPaaS stands for Integration Platform as a Service. So by integration, it just means taking a lot of different parts, like in this case, software, a lot of different software pieces, and connecting them all so that they talk to each other. And it's really important that you have your systems talk to each other, and you're not just stuck in one platform and then, copying and pasting data from another system over. And I got my start. I've been doing this kind of work for over 20 years, working in systems integration, software integration. But it really all started. I remember one time I was doing this project before I was really knew anything about this field. I just always growing up, I was interested in making things go faster. How do you automate things? How can you use computers to get your job done faster? And I only had an opportunity to use this in my job. This first time I remember I was doing data entry with 20 other staff colleagues on this project to clean up a mailing list that, you send out a mailing to a lot of people. You get all the return mail with the little yellow sticker that's undeliverable, change of address, bad address. And as many companies maybe still are doing, you grab the return mail, type in the address or the name, find your record on the list and update it as undeliverable. And as I'm doing this, for the first day goes by, I'm just, copying and pasting or like typing in and searching and hitting a button repetitive over and over and over, lasting days. This project went on for a total of 6 weeks to get the entire list updated. And I'm just getting more and more frustrated because I know there's got to be a way to do this smarter. It can't just be that you have to really do this. I'm very curious. I always ask questions ever since I was a little kid. Is there some way that you could do this better? And I reached out to the USPS and found out that they had a beta program at the time to send you electronic undeliverable mail. It was called ECS. I don't know if it's still called that, or ACS, Address Change Service. And you get a file, and then you could take the file, update it on your list automatically. So I thought this was amazing. On my own time, I spent about 3 or 4 weeks figuring out how I would automatically grab the file, parse it into, a computer readable format that I could compare to our mailing list, and then update the list and kind of simulate all the tasks, this team of data entry people were doing. And I got approval on it, and we implemented that. And the next mailing that went out, it entirely replaced what 20 people were doing for many hours a day. And it all was automated. And I was hooked. I was just like, this is the most amazing thing. And I wanted to figure out how I could do this the rest of my life. And, in any position I was in, I would find ways to automate processes. I ended up doing 20 years in systems integration and software application development, where we had to connect software, getting them talking for different organizations that I work for. And then fast forward 20 years, I'm like, okay, corporate world, that's it. Let's do this on my own. And a couple of years ago, I set out first as a consultant, kind of testing the waters to see if this was going to be something that people really needed and would pay for. And after about 6 months, formed MindCloud, got on a team of staff with myself. And 2 years later, we have a great company. We're helping businesses, both small and large, not just small and medium-sized businesses, but we have some clients that they have huge IT departments, but they don't want to do the integrations themselves. They'd rather have experts do it. So we take on the automation and integration projects for big companies. But it really started with small and medium-sized guys, trying to help them to be able to compete with the big guys out there that already have, like, the Amazons of the world. Everything is so streamlined and automated. It's like, how are you ever going to compete if you don't have a fully scalable, streamlined system that is, able to grow without having to just add on manual data entry staff when you want to add on the next thing. Anyway, that's kind of the quick, maybe long, maybe too long story about how I got started. But yeah, I love it. I love solving these kind of problems and removing any kind of tedious data entry, automate any kind of tasks wherever possible. So that is what MindCloud does. Yeah, it's been a great first couple of years.
Yeah, and this it's really interesting. Software is eating the world. I think Mark Andreessen's coined that. And software and now AI, robotics, all of that. Yeah, and it's so cool how you can like stack things and integrate things and interface. What's the biggest problem you saw expanding businesses are having?
It's first, there's this kind of barrier of knowledge. And you talk about your 4 freedoms, right? The secret behind each of these freedoms is knowledge. You got to learn, you got to educate yourself and find out what is it that will enable that freedom. And business owners, the visionaries of the company, they know they want to accomplish something, but they not necessarily know how. They don't necessarily know all the tools and ways. They just know, kind of like me when I was on that data entry project, that there's got to be some way to do this smarter. And what I like to do is work with business owners, CEOs, and help to bring the knowledge of this modern technology, all the amazing tools that can be used, like you're saying, the AI tools, the ChatGPT tools, all these things that could just speed up any kind of work. But fundamentally, MindCloud is taking software and getting it to talk to each other. So the idea that it's so complicated or that it takes so long or that it costs so much, that's the biggest barrier that I've encountered with business owners that have wanted to scale, is just the past idea that it was going to just not be possible, or they tried it and they had an integration company that maybe wasn't expert, or they didn't have a really agile platform to quickly build and respond. And maybe it took 6 months to build an integration and tens of thousands of dollars. So the next time that CEO wanted to integrate, he thought it's not going to be worthwhile. So that's the first and biggest barrier, is just this awareness or the knowledge that it's possible. And when the business owners see that it's actually not that hard, connecting software is not that hard. It's just made to seem difficult, or maybe the big integration platforms out there that cost hundreds of thousands of dollars, maybe they want it to be that way. So you think it's got to cost, $250,000 a year to have an integration platform. Well, the truth is it really doesn't. It's just ones and zeros. We need to get those ones and zeros talking to each other. And now with all the tools that are out there, it's not that hard. So I always try to break down that barrier with making things simple and breaking down complex ideas so it can be seen. It's not difficult. It is understandable. And most importantly, we can help to overcome whatever those barriers are to help the business scale.
Yeah. And it's really interesting because, once business owners, they understand, they see this need and they're able to implement it, you'll see that they're able to blow up their business and work less. And you actually did that with your own company. You took your company from zero to award winner in less than 4 years. So describe kind of like the evolution and the process. You touched briefly on it earlier, but go more into detail.
Thank you, by the way. I started this as a test. It was, is this needed? And It was never like, oh, I have this great idea. Let's get a bunch of money. Let's build this thing because I have this idea that I think will one day, pay out. It was a needs-based assessment with one person, one customer. Is this needed? Will you pay for it? Can we deliver it within the cost that you're going to pay? Is there going to be a profit there? Good. Turn over another one. Then I had 2 clients. And then I'm like, okay, so I could do this. I could make some profit. And oh, wow, I could even pay myself now. This is interesting. And then it was, 5 clients the same way, just calculated based on the exchange that we're delivering for the valuable that we're getting. Always keeping that as the most important thing. Our price can't be more than the value that we're giving the customer. The customer is willing to pay a certain amount. He sees that there's a value there. Somehow our cost has to be less than the value that they're going to get. And as long as we kept that in always as we were growing, it was able to just kind of keep that rocket ride fueled and not get into a situation where you're over promising and under delivering, but always just kind of keeping the sales and the delivery matched and growing it kind of more organically. So that was how we grew so fast. I have a great team with me, started with my best friends who I've known for 20 years, who kind of got together. They're experts in their fields. And, I brought my CTO on. Once we got to a point where I could afford it as a company, we brought him on full time. And so it's been that kind of organic, bootstrapped growth, but it was always based on what is needed, who's going to pay for it, are they willing to pay more than what I need to deliver it? And that's kind of that was just the simple formula from the beginning.
Yeah. And I love that. I love hearing about companies' growth and just starting and, taking it to the next level. During this process, what are some of the biggest surprises you had in your business? How did you handle it? What did you learn from it?
I would say I'm always willing to be wrong. I'm always willing to learn something or pivot if needed and kind of just be very responsive. The company is based on agile methodology. Everything is like, it's not a big, long plan to eventually see, does it work? It's like, good, do a change, see if it resulted in something. Do another change, see if it worked. So everything has been like that from the beginning. Every aspect, how we even, anything you can imagine. So one of the biggest things that was shocking to me that I had to respond to was just the lack of actual tools that are available to business owners that are not already making hundreds of millions of dollars a year. And this huge divide that the technology is out there. It's available from a low scale. You could use something like Zapier to connect and do different automations, or at the top of the scale, you could use like Dell's, the Boomies of the world or the MuleSofts of the world. And there's this kind of gap in the middle where you need a mission critical integration. You need something that's automated, but you don't have a tech team who can build it for you. You don't have the knowledge to know how to set up and authenticate accounts. Even if you were to do your own Zapier setup, it's like those probably 80% of our clients are former frustrated Zapier users whose zaps kept breaking, who were like, I don't know, and then the price gets out of hand because then they start using it for more mission critical stuff. And it's not the right tool. So the biggest thing was there's not really a tool that caters to this kind of mid-market where they're not going to spend $250,000 a year, but they need this in order to get there. So we responded by what's different about MindCloud is we actually have a full white glove approach to software integrations. We don't give you a platform only and say, good luck, here's your login, go build your integration and make sure it works and over to you and still pay us tons of money. No, we build the integration using the platform that was created, which the MindCloud integration platform is extremely agile. It was made in a way so it's very easy to plug in software and build the workflows, but we don't ask you to do it. Mm-hmm. We set it up, we manage it, and we keep the price affordable enough. So in a side-by-side comparison, it's about 5 times less expensive than if you were to go with something like MuleSoft or some, one of these big platforms, which makes it reachable for your small and medium-sized business. Yeah. But that's not to say we don't also serve enterprise. It's just, it's really making a tool there that's accessible to the smaller businesses. That was the biggest thing, because, a normal SaaS company, you want to have a subscription and a hands-off approach where it's just good. They paid for something, you got a monthly recurring revenue, and you don't have to do anything, and you could watch the checks roll in. Well, we don't see it that way. We actually worked out a way that we can be fully responsible for the integration. We can set up, manage, and keep them running, so you don't have the Zapier issue where it just suddenly disconnected. You don't know why. The authentication failed, and now you don't know how to connect your LinkedIn account anymore, and whatever frustrated things might happen, which does happen. We keep them running. We keep the price affordable. We become the integration partner for a company, and it's like an extension of their staff. We build, set up, and maintain any of the software integrations that are needed. So that's was the biggest thing that really formed MindCloud into what it is now. Is there is a need. How can we solve that need and deliver it in a way that we could still make a profit and deliver the service and the product at a price that the exact audience will pay? Yeah. So that was kind of the biggest thing we had to respond to so far.
Yeah, nice. And it's so it's been really interesting discussion about MindCloud and integration. And I know you actually have a special QR code. You could share your screen, which will allow the audience and listeners to take a look at. If for the people tuning in on audio, the link will be in the resources and show notes. So feel free to share the QR code.
Awesome. Yeah, the says the screen sharing is disabled.
There you go.
It's just mindcloud.co. It's really simple. Oh, here you go. Appreciate that. So on the screen, you'll see a QR code. This just takes you to a free consultation that MindCloud is offering for any of the listeners. Find out if you need integrations in your company or in your organization. Just scan that. It'll take you to a little form, and we can book a call. It's totally complimentary. And the purpose is to see if you've got data entry that can be replaced with automated processes, or if you've got various software that needs to talk to each other, see if we can help that be automated.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. And,
thank you, Doctor.
And let's for all the listeners out there, let's thank Jamie for coming onto the show, pouring a lot of wealth and experience and knowledge to the listeners. And again, if you missed the QR code, the link will be in the resource, the show notes. And with that, also be sure to check out Jamie on his social media. He's all over his Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, and Twitter, as well as website MindCloud. And again, it'll be in the show notes. And with that, thanks so much for coming on to the podcast.
Thank you so much. And thank you to all your listeners. Appreciate it.